Hey guys, it's Nancy, and I'm sorry we had some technical difficulties yesterday. So I'm hoping that the internet is going to be going 100% so that I can record. Love to ride your questions, and this is our third edition. So, one of the things that we were talking about yesterday before we got cut off, one of the girls was talking about coming to the lesson and her horse not coming with a lot of energy. It was a hot day and he came a little lethargic to the ring, and she was asking, she feels like things did get better as it went along, but she didn't like the feeling of having to get after him and didn't feel that the lesson was as productive as it could have possibly been. And so before we cut off, what I was saying is that we need to understand that we're desperately looking for that wonderful connection with the horses, and we want the horses to come to work as eager as we are to connect and to be athletic and expressive and participating. But sometimes we're taking them to the gym and they're not really sure that they want to go to the gym today, and we do have to take the lead in that. So on a very hot day, if I have a horse that comes out and it's really feeling like, wow, I'm not sure that I want to do too much today, I have to bring my energy up. I have to really be the mentor in that place. And then I'm going to make short periods of work, very specific. It's got to be done right now. I'm going to be really clear in my aids. And then I'm going to take nice long breaks where the horse can recoup the breathing and do sweat and all that stuff. So it's a difficult thing to do because we don't want to get after them, but you're much better to get after them. Say, we're going to work, whatever that takes, a little smack or whatever. We're going to work. Let's get over this, and then get a little bit of work done, be able to do a lot of rewarding, and then take your breaks and maybe make a short session of it, 20 minutes, half an hour. And don't let it drag out that you're kind of asking every step. The other thing to keep in mind is that sometimes we are nervous. We're nervous of what they're going to do when we say, hey, come on, we got to do this. And so even though we are saying it, we're kind of holding back. And so that's where you have to trust yourself. You have to trust your seat. You have to trust your riding. And that, can I stop? Can I go? Those kind of things. And then be clear. The reins are free. My seat is going with you, and I need you to put some energy into this work right now. But if we're holding back and we're like, I'm going to touch you with a stick, but I'm not really sure what's going to happen, then oftentimes the horse will really feel it, and he'll really be like, she really doesn't want me to go right now. So I'm a little hot, I'm a little lazy, and I don't really feel that she wants me to go. So you have to commit, and you have to be open to that rush of energy that might actually come up because you ask for it, which is really awesome. And you are going to trust yourself to direct it into the right place. So I'm going to pull up our questions. And this is the third time we're doing this. And today the third or fourth most often asked question. How do I create the best warm up for my horse? And we want to start by remembering that each horse is unique. So what works for you, what works for your horse, may not work for other people. And what works for other people may not be perfect for you and for your horse. So this is all about getting connected with your horse, working together with your trainer to know the specific situation that you're in, and creating a warm up that makes that middle of your ride the most productive that you can possibly make it. So, one of the things that I consider in the warm up is, what was my horse's day like prior to me riding? Was she out and relaxing in the paddock for a couple hours? Was she out and had to come in because she was stressed about something in the paddock? Did she not get out because of the weather or something like this? Do I have a schedule change and I'm riding her before she had an opportunity to go out? All these things are going to impact how I warm up my horse. The next thing that I'm going to think about is, what outcome do I want to achieve today? So the outcome can be based on yesterday's ride, a goal that I have coming up, a show or a clinic or something that I want to start learning. I want to teach something new. Are there specific movements that I want to work on? If I have been, am I trying to make the half pass more expressive, or am I trying to make my pirouettes a little bit smaller? Get something stronger? Is there something specific, a movement that I want to work on? I'm going to gear my warm up in that direction. Is it going to be about mindset and understanding? So, as far as my horse, does my horse need a little bit of a mindset adjustment? Or are there certain things about the work that I really want to explain in a conversational way? So there's certain things that I really like my horses to know. I want them to know. Like, I had so much fun with Glorious because that's one of the only horses that I ever had that I really got an opportunity to train myself on the center line the first time. And in the beginning, we had some things going on, and he wasn't really eager about going, showing and expressing himself in the shows. But I really spent a lot of time with him on the center line, teaching him to be proud on the center line, teaching him to be relaxed on the center line, that the halt was absolutely no issue. I have gotten a lot of horses in training, and you turn down the center line and they're like, they don't know what to do. They know they have to halt, but they're supposed to go. And so for me, that is really a mindset that I taught him, that the center line is a really fun place to be. And if I turn on the diagonal, they know it's time for an extended trot. It's not about me pushing them or squeezing them or making it the most that I can make it. They know that that's what they're going to do, and they get to do it. So I like to gear some of my rides toward mindset, my mindset and my horse's mindset. And my warm up will be all around that. And then, is it about, could I make the ride about skill building? Do I want to work on my skills? So there's certain working patterns and exercises that I'm going to do that are going to help me in my riding. And we're always working on our riding, always. Doesn't matter who you are. I hope that you're always trying to build your feel, build your strength, build your suppleness and your ability to go with the horse. So sometimes I will direct an entire lesson towards skill building. I say, okay, you have to put up with me right now. We're working on me. And I might do something without stirrups, or I might stay more on a 20-meter circle, or, do a lot of simple changes through 10-meter circles or something like that, where I'm working on me. Am I in position left? Am I able to bring myself in dominant inside seat bone? Can I change to the other side? And, just working on those things, the right and the left, and making each thing coordinated. So sometimes I'm going to direct a lesson only towards skill building. And if I'm going to do that, I'm going to warm my horse up appropriately so they're ready for me to work on those things in me. And I'm going to make it all about being relaxed, not stressed about making mistakes, that kind of thing. All this being said, we want to remember that there are principles in dressage. And so no matter what, we've got to fall back on those principles. Okay. We're not just going off on some tangent out at the end of the branch. We're staying close to the tree trunk with our principles in riding, right? We're riding from the back to the front. The horse has to be through. These kind of things. So when I'm talking about your horse is unique, how your connection is special, those kind of things, of course, and we want to remember that. But I really also want you to, get to know and learn and practice the basic principles of riding, and fall back on our training pyramid whenever you have a question or a training problem. So let's move to examples. I'm bringing my horse out and I want to design a warm-up for this day where yesterday my horse was a bit sluggish and stiff. And on top of that, he got shod this morning. So what is my goal for today? If I'm going with my ride from yesterday, I really want to have a supple horse and a horse that's forward going. That is going to be my priority because I didn't achieve that yesterday. My horse was stiff and didn't want to go. On the other side, I have got to remember that my horse just was shod. So I have to put that a little bit in the back. And when I get on, I have to feel how is my horse because of the new shoes. So the mindset I want to create for my horse is that of a trier. I want to be sure to set things up in a positive way and not to overface him today. The warm up. So the mindset that I want to create for my horse is that of a trier. I want to be sure to set things up in a positive way and not overface him today. So my warm up, when possible, I might start by walking around the field, or if you have a lane by the barn, or you can go up and down the driveway. These things are awesome. And that way your horse is getting a little bit of energy in, a little bit of movement in, but without me having to influence it too much. When this is not possible, or even before or after the walk outside, I might lunge for a couple minutes or do some groundwork to get the feeling of how the shoes are affecting him, and to see if there's any physical reason why my horse came out yesterday and was sluggish. For the warm up, I'll ask for acceptance of the reins and legs in the walk at whatever level of whatever contact and connection my horse feels comfortable, and whatever level it's going. So it doesn't mean you have to be completely collected or really even in a frame, but the attitude that the horse has toward the leg and to the rein needs to be addressed. And then I may spend a little extra time on the walk for a horse that needs to loosen in the back and the hind legs. I might move quickly to the trot with a horse that gets bored easily or needs to blow off steam or gets too stuck to the seat. So I really like a bit of walk, some half pass, leg yields, these kind of things, walk pirouettes for an advanced horse to get that back going and to get those hind legs facing the bit. But if it's a younger horse and it's getting a little bit bored with all that stuff, then I might go ahead and trot some long sides, walk some short sides, that kind of thing, and just get the body moving. I'll be creative with asking questions and not require that anything is sustained for too long. So my horse was sluggish and stiff yesterday, which means that you just want to reinstall the software. You want to make sure that the aids that you're giving are moving easily through the body and you can quickly reward. Transitions. Ask questions, bring the horse to the correct answer, and then reward. Because the way you build momentum and the way that you build that intent for the horse to work for you is with the reward. So you need to ask the question, and in the beginning, the question might be fairly easy to answer, and then you're going to come with the reward. And later you might make the question a little bit harder. But with a horse that was sluggish and stiff the day before, you don't want to overface it. In the beginning, simply the transition is enough. And then later in the ride, the way that the horse carries itself is going to be, in the transition, that's going to be more important. Is it taking the aids really through its body, putting a little bit of weight into the hind legs? But maybe in the beginning, you're going to reward that it's listening to your aids, even if its body's not operating perfectly. The canter is awesome for loosening up the back, and canter trot transitions are building up that obedience and the back loosening. So you don't have to canter around and around and around and let the horse know how hard work is. Instead, you can go back and forth and just look for that direct answer to your aids, and then be able to give the reward. And then the downward transitions are super for getting that lower back moving and those stifles carrying. So I love canter trot transitions, trot canter transitions. Trot walk transitions are very good for flexion of the hind legs and reminding your horse to carry itself, not to run along. So depending on which thing I'm dealing with. So if my horse is really long in the canter, lumpy in the canter, not in front of me, I'll opt for walk trot transitions first. And if my horse is just a little bit kind of running through the transitions, the walk trot transitions, and getting a little bit stiff and huffy and puffy, then I'll canter on and let it loosen up in the back, and then do the trot canters for obedience, but I'll give that time in the canter for the loosening. If after 15 or 20 minutes, my horse is still it starts to feel good, start to feel loose, forward and happy, then I'm going to go ahead. I'll move forward with some exercises for the level that that horse is. For the middle of the ride, there's going to be some meat in the ride. But if my horse is not getting beyond this and I feel like there's still work to do, I'm going to give it a break, and then I'm going to start up in that same way. The meat of the ride is still going to be transitions, 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 and working on the mindset to build my little trier. I want to have a little trier working in the ring, not somebody that's saying, I have to tell how hard everything is every day. Okay. So the next example is, I have a show coming up in 2 weeks, and I want to go through my test. For this kind of day, I personally walk a lot in the beginning. So depending on what I want to do is I want to get the maximum connection and throughness without using the horse up. Depending on the level of the horse, I'm going to do leg yields. I'm going to do maybe some half passes, walk pirouettes. One exercise I really love for every single level is extended walk on the diagonal, collected on the short side or medium, depending on that, and then extend it again, and then medium walk on the short side and extend it again. I do that a bunch of times, and they can be short diagonals. You can even do, for instance, a short one to E and then across, or to B and then across. So short and short. But what I'm looking for is that obedience to become back into medium or collection within several steps. We have to do it in the test like that. And it doesn't take a lot of effort. So when you do things like that, then when you get to practice your test, it flows very easily. And walk and canter are very similar. So a lot of the stuff that you're doing in the walk is going to benefit. That will benefit your canter. And then there's no reason why you can't, leg yield along the wall or leg yield from the wall to the center line, half pass, leg yield, half pass, halts, reinbacks, walk pirouettes, turns on the forehand. All of these kind of things I really like to do before I'm going to practice my test, because I want to have the shortest warm-up that I can with the body the most available that I can make it. So I really like to make a little bit of a longer walk warm-up on this kind of day. And then I'll loosen up the trot. I'll loosen up the canter. I'll work small steps and big steps, slow steps and faster steps, if that's the kind of horse that you have. Depending on the level, I'll do a couple circles. And if it's a test that requires flying changes or pirouettes or piaffe or something like that, I will do a little bit more collected. Like I don't need to do pirouettes, but I'll come into pirouette canter, or I might go on the diagonal, collect the canter and go back out again. I might do, trot, half steps, trot again. So the first time that I piaffe, in the mind when I'm practicing my test is not when I'm practicing my test. I did a piaffe before I practiced the test, but I didn't do a million piaffes. I just checked in and made sure that we're working. The same with the pirouettes, that the aids to make collected canter are working. And then I think it's always fair to do a change right, left. I think that's nice for them. And I don't necessarily have to do an extension, but bigger steps and smaller steps. And then after 10-15 minutes, I'm going to go through my test. I really I like to not wear my horse out in that case. So the important thing is to know where do you stand for the next 2 weeks prior to getting to the horse show. So by warming up a little bit, getting your horse loose, being fair to it, but not over schooling it, and then going through the test, then you start to find out the places where it needs a little bit more warming up, a little bit more conversation, and the other things that are super easy and worked really well. When you get to the show, now you don't have to over school every single movement. You already know from that practice time that these things worked out really well, and the other things needed a little bit more of a warm up, a little bit more time in the warm up and after. So if this is 2 weeks prior to my show, that 2 weeks is going to be perfecting those details and how to warm those things up at the horse show. I really do not like to get to the horse show and have to over school every single movement. I think many horses are finished physically before they go down the center line. And I don't think that's necessary. Our best work should be in the show arena. How do we make that happen? Is by practicing at home. What's the best way to warm up? And how can I get to the point without too many repetitions of each movement? The only way to know that is to go a little bit cold into your test and find out what's really working and then what's not. And then you work on what's not in the next couple weeks. So I hope that makes sense. All right, we have one more example. My goal is to start teaching flying changes in the next month. My horse did not go out today because it was raining. On a day like this, where I know the horse has been standing in, I will definitely take more time in the warm-up. A lot of walk, unless there's a little extra steam in the pot. And if there's extra steam in the pot, I like to trot alongside, walk the short sides, do some spirals, trot a little bit smaller, trot, push it back out again until I build up that rapport. And I don't just let the steam out because I think it's really a waste of energy. So the horse needs to get the steam out. It needs to be entertained. It needs not to get in trouble for being energetic. But I also like to use it in a really positive way. So I do circles, I do forward and back, I might do spirals, but I don't just, let it run around without some kind of building up some kind of connection. When I go to the canter, I'm going to concentrate on walk canter transitions because we're talking about preparing the horse. The meat of the ride is going to be geared toward flying changes. So the meat of the ride now, I would concentrate on walk canter transitions. I want to build my skill and my posture to be able to change to the new direction very quickly and ride positively in that new direction. And I want to make sure that I can have the horse off of my inside leg. So part of this lesson will be skill building. And then in the counter canter, the understanding of inside and outside aids will be worked on, even in all of the exercises. So if I'm making a medium canter and a collected canter, if I'm going on a diagonal forward and back, and I want to be sure that I'm not getting pulled into some kind of one-sidedness. Every single horse has a long side and a short side. Every horse has a stiff side and a hollow side. However you want to talk about it. Every single horse has it. We are also right-handed and left-handed. We've got to make sure that when we're riding to the right, inside, your inside leg is forward, your outside leg is back. Your outside left rein, if you're on the right lead, your left rein is your outside rein. Your right rein is your inside rein. We cannot let the horse talk us into riding as if we were going to the left when we're going to the right. And when does this start showing up is when we start making flying changes. So you want to really maintain that balance and the understanding of the aids and be able to, on straight lines, make your horse positive around your inside leg, and you have the feeling of guarding with that outside leg back, no matter what's happening. You've got to make a little hole on the right side, and you've got to be able to ride the horse forward from the outside. And then one of the biggest things that I find with flying changes is, how does a horse get ready for the change? How is my horse getting ready for the flying change? What does that even mean? So if I'm going on the diagonal and any little thing I do, my horse is getting all, huffy and puffy and jumping short steps and that kind of thing, that's not going to be good for teaching flying changes. So I want my horse to be able to accept the leg and not run through the rein. Well, prior to doing any kind of a flying change aid, what am I teaching it? That I can get you to jump a little bit more, a little more energy, a little bit more positive within the circle of aids. That you're not, when I put my leg on, you're not jumping at my hand, getting stuck in my hand, pulling me out of the saddle, pulling me forward. Because these are the horses that are, when you make a change aid, they're running off, they're scared, they're bucking or whatever, because nobody ever taught them how just simply to jump within the aid, within the canter, between the reins and the legs and the seat, that they can jump with a little bit more energy, that their body can be supple for that. This is so important. So when you go on a diagonal and you make a counter canter, you need to be able to ride that counter canter. You need to be able to ride that diagonal. So the meat of this ride about making flying changes is going to be about the rideability. Can I put my outside leg on and get the horse a little bit more forward? Can I use my inside leg to create straightness, to create flexion? I need to be able to do that. So really think about that. Not only am I, making that how the horse reacts to the change aid, but how does it get ready to accept the change aid? And many, many times mistakes are made by putting up with certain behaviors that are going to be completely unnecessary and unhelpful when you're asking for your changes. I think simple changes are super important prior to doing flying changes. I really think that the rider, as much as the horse, benefits from simple changes. So do these and make yourself feel the walk and feel the beats and feel your inside leg sliding forward, your new inside leg, feel your outside leg sliding back. So just really thinking about that. It's so important that you can change your body from one side to the other, so that when your horse makes a flying change, you are really right there rewarding it for doing the right thing. If you're not used to going from left posture to right, and your horse swaps the change really good on your aid and you're still riding the left, your horse is going to feel like that was a mistake. So practice those skills, really practice those skills. So I didn't realize it, but I had one more example. I wanted to work on a specific movement for my show, but my horse is crazy on the cross ties while I'm trying to get ready. So now your mind is running. What if this happens at the show? And how am I going to work on what I want to work on? And you have to just go with the flow and create the horse that you want at the horse show from this experience. So it's super important that you don't let your mind go to the future, but instead you stay here. What horse do I want right now? And maybe that movement that you wanted to work on is not going to happen today, and it's totally fine. So you want to think that your horse is having some kind of flight instinct that you don't want to come with you to the show. So the lesson has to be all about relaxation, 100%. And maybe that means only groundwork. And so the work that I do, thank you very much, Tristan Tucker, is from Tristan's TRT method. And I learned to change my mindset, where I used to think exactly like whenever I talk about stuff like this, I definitely, it's not like you guys are making this mistake and I've never done that. Why are we doing this? It's because I've made these mistakes too. Of course I have. So I have been the person that wants to go and work on my half passes or whatever, and get them fancier and make sure I can get point to point. And I want to get that going. And my horse is stressed on the cross ties and can't even handle having the saddle put on. I've been there. So I have been very lucky to meet Tristan and to learn his groundwork, and also to know that if I don't even get on my horse today and I only do that work, that tomorrow anything is possible. And so we just absolutely have to take our training day by day, take the pressure off, don't worry about the show, and just think about the horse you're creating. And this is just, it's so important, because people create more stress than necessary. The horse knows nothing about the show, could care less about the show, does not give a crap about the half pass at all. Whatever they're caring about is something that really they feel is impacting their health and welfare. So to bring them back and to teach them how to solve problems through relaxation and want to be relaxed, we absolutely have to spend time on that. So the way that I want to look at this is, I was probably floating along in my little life, thinking about my little horse show, thinking about my test, not realizing that my horse was ramping up for whatever reason. And this is a blessing. This is an opportunity for me to stop and deal with some of these horse related things. We're dealing with horses. It's not a tennis racket and it's not a bicycle. It's a horse. So when something like that happens, let yourself say thank you. Thank you for reminding me that my horse needed a little bit of groundwork, needed a little bit of this relaxation. And then tomorrow, when you go out and ride, everything is going to be so much better. I promise you. So I hope that helps, and realize that we've all been there. And sometimes it is hard to shift or to pivot from one idea of what you wanted the lesson to be to another, but it really will benefit you. I promise. I know from experience. And your homework is between now and next Wednesday. What challenge did you have this week, and how did setting an intention for the homework change the outcome of the ride? How did the intention for the warm-up, not the homework, for the warm-up change the outcome of the ride? And you are welcome to send questions to Nancy Later, dressagehorses@gmail.com. And if you want to talk about your homework next week, send it to me ahead of time. And then we can talk about any questions or even just revelations that you have. I love to hear. So be useful in your approach, which means be the learner and chuckle at your mistakes. Connection is the key. Absolutely connect with your horse every day and honor that beautiful relationship that you have. And then remember, anything is possible. So if you can dream it, you can make it happen. Love to ride. Thank you for being here.